Welcome to the weekly roundup of Air News Daily Bulletins.
Mexican low-cost carrier Volaris will be connecting Guadalajara, isn't that a great name, and Salt Lake City from the 1st of June, when it launches 3 flights weekly on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays on board its A350 family aircraft. This will be the first ever service to Salt Lake City by the company, and we wish them every success. Norwegian will launch a twice-weekly service between Aalborg in Denmark and London Gatwick from the 2nd of April. Flights will operate on Thursdays and Sundays, offering customers at either end the chance for a nice long weekend, and will be flown using the carrier's 737s. Having confirmed the closure of its Manchester base from which it flew to Barbados, Aer Lingus has now announced the introduction of direct flights between its Dublin home and the Caribbean island from the 31st of March until the end of May. Flights will operate on Tuesdays, Fridays and Sundays using the carrier's Airbus A321 XLRs with an outbound flight time of just over 9 hours. We suspect there may be a payload restriction on the outbound service given the prevailing headwinds. But we might be wrong, of course. Good news on the return flight though, as it is timed to last approximately 7 hours 50 minutes. We understand that this service has been introduced for use by Manchester originating customers only, but that may well change. Dan Air of Romania will be expanding its network in the spring when it launches no less than 8 new routes from both Bucharest and Baku. Bucharest will enjoy twice-weekly services to Larnaca in Cyprus from the 1st of April, and Valencia will also enjoy twice-weekly services from the 3rd of April. Baku benefits from the introduction of twice-weekly flights to Madrid and Larnaca from the 2nd of April. Valencia joins on the 3rd of April, and on the 4th of April, the airline will commence twice-weekly services to Barcelona, Paris-Beauvais and Venice-Treviso. Guernsey's home airline, Aurigny, will be increasing capacity between its base on the Channel Islands to Paris-Charles de Gaulle from the 1st of April, when it adds a 3rd weekly flight. The extra service will operate on Wednesdays, complementing the existing Monday and Friday flights, and will be flown using the carrier's ATR 72-600s. Colombian flag carrier Aviation will launch a new summer seasonal route on the 1st of June between Guatemala City and San Francisco. Flights will operate 4 times per week on the airline's A320s on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays. The route is being introduced in direct response to customer demand and may well be back in 2027 for a longer period. Let's hope so. And finally, hot off the press, American Airlines, subject to government approval, intends to launch a summer seasonal service between Philadelphia and Porto in Portugal, which it will operate using its recently delivered Airbus A321 XLRs. Flights will commence in 2027, and once more information is available, we will of course share it with you. That's all for now, folks. We will be back with our regular news bulletin again tomorrow, but in the meantime, have a great day and I'll see you then. Cairo-based Egyptian flag carrier Egypt Air became the latest airline to welcome the Airbus A350-900 into its fleet yesterday, when it took delivery of the first of 16 A350s it ordered from the Toulouse manufacturer back in 2023. The aircraft has a 2-class only configuration, seating 30 business and 310 economy passengers, and will be used to serve the airline's US West Coast and North Asian destinations. Canadian Airlines were amongst those that were forced to cancel flights to Cuba yesterday, following the announcement by the Cuban authorities that they had run out of Jet A1 fuel for foreign carriers. The shortage has been caused by the arrest of former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro by the Trump administration back in January. Cuba relies on Venezuela for its fuel supplies, and this has now effectively dried up. Trump has threatened anyone breaking the embargo against Cuba will face sanctions from his administration. The Cubans are no strangers to sanctions, so will now have to get creative to find a solution. In the meantime, its national airline Cubana will have access to the limited supply of fuel left on the island. Vietnam Airlines has announced the introduction of 3 flights per week between its Hanoi hub and Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Flights are due to commence on the 16th of June and will operate Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays using their Airbus A350 aircraft. We do like their livery around here, it's rather stunning. As Syria tries to rebuild its aviation infrastructure following its civil war, its fledgling government will be delighted that Saudi low-cost carrier Flynas has signed an agreement to establish a new airline based in the beleaguered Arab nation. The joint venture between Flynas and the Syrian General Authority of Civil Aviation and Air Transport, blimey what a mouthful, will be branded as Flynas Syria and will be 51% owned by the Syrian Authority, with the remainder held by Flynas. The carrier hopes to serve destinations across the Middle East, Africa and Europe. What this means for Syrian Airlines is unclear at this time. But one strategy might be to develop its flag carrier as a long-haul operation only, which is equally as important to Syria as it re-establishes itself in the international arena. Let's hope that this doesn't spell the end for Syrian, as it's 78 years old this year and it has survived many a storm over the years. AirAsia X is reported to be planning a return to the UK market later this year. Whilst details are still somewhat thin on the ground, we are led to believe that the airline will recommence daily services between its Kuala Lumpur base and London Gatwick from late June. It is rumoured that these flights will operate via Bahrain using the carrier's A350 fleet. We will keep an eye on developments from the Malaysian low-cost carrier and include any firm details in a route special bulletin when the schedule is known. And finally, even after 40 years in the aviation industry, I accept that every day is a school day, and that's certainly true when it comes to the celebrations that have recently taken place at Japan Airlines in Tokyo. Captain Fuji has the unique distinction of becoming Japan's first ever female commercial airline captain, and we are delighted for her. What made this a school day moment for me was the fact that it's taken until 2026 for this event to happen. I remember the likes of Lynn Rippermeyer becoming the first female captain to command a 747 all the way back in 1984, so you'll have to forgive me for being somewhat shocked that Japan has only now welcomed its first female captain to the skies. We of course wish Captain Fuji many happy hours aloft and are certain that she will become an inspiration to other Japanese women wanting to sit in the left-hand seat. Congratulations to Captain Fuji. That's all for today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'll see you then. Take care. One of our regular viewers, Mohammed, asked us what was happening with Bangladesh Biman service between Manchester and Sylhet. We promised to check this out for him and anybody else that was affected. Biman have now confirmed the indefinite suspension of the service starting on the 1st of March, citing the availability of aircraft and lower than expected passenger numbers on the route. The carrier has increased the number of flights it offers from London Heathrow to Sylhet in a bid to help those customers affected by the suspension. That said, the additional flights from the London gateway will only operate until the end of the winter timetable, when normal frequency will be restored. We will of course keep an eye on developments from Dakar and keep you updated, but we suspect it may be some time before the Bangladeshi flag carrier resumes services to Manchester. Sorry we don't have better news for you at the moment, Mohammed. Some accolades in life are not necessarily the type you might desire, which may well be true of the latest accolade bestowed upon Budapest-based low-cost carrier Wizz Air by the people of the United Kingdom. The carrier has now officially become the UK's most complained about airline on a per-passenger basis, just managing to nudge past its Irish rival Ryanair, who, let's face it, don't care what people think about them anyway. Statistics show that the Magyar airline received 918 complaints per million passengers carried last year. It could be argued, of course, that you get what you pay for, but in the case of these complaints, it appears that the challenge for the carrier is managing disruption and the associated issues that come with it, such as refunds. This is not the first time that the carrier has been in trouble with its British customers, and I'm sure the UK regulator, the Civil Aviation Authority, will continue to keep a close eye on the Hungarian carrier and its operations. Cork Airport, winner of 2025's Best European Regional Airport Award, isn't resting on its laurels as it prepares for a busy 2026 summer schedule. The airport has been investing in technology upgrades to keep customers happy. Enhancements at the Irish airport include significantly better Wi-Fi hardware, a new car park booking system with ANPR or automatic number plate recognition, and the installation of new self-service bag drop kiosks for Aer Lingus customers. All of which it hopes will help it to remain a customer favourite. We're sure it will. ProFlight of Zambia has become the latest airline to join the International Air Transport Association, having successfully completed the association's rigorous operational safety audit. The Lusaka-based carrier started operations in 2005 and currently offers services to domestic destinations as well as regional routes to Botswana, Namibia and South Africa. We're hoping to bring you a special report about ProFlight later in the year, but in the meantime, and as they say, welcome to the club. Staying on the African continent, South Africa's Fly Safair has reacted positively to the news of a planned takeover by investment holding company Harith and its affiliates. Both parties issued statements yesterday regarding a sale and purchase agreement that would see the carrier fall under new ownership. The airline has stressed to its customers that it is very much business as usual and that the carrier will continue to operate under its existing brand, leadership and strategy. And finally, love is in the air with Valentine's Day fast approaching, and one airline that is definitely celebrating all that love is Avianca and their cargo division, who have reported that the volume of Valentine's Day flowers it has carried this year has increased by 6% over last year to 19,000 tonnes, marking a 5-year high for the Colombian carrier. We hope you've got your order in, folks, as to pardon the pun, the flowers are flying out the door, and we'd hate for you to disappoint the person or persons that you love. Thanks for being with us today. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and in the meantime, don't forget to get in touch like Mohammed if you have a story you think we should be covering. See you tomorrow. Germany's flag carrier Lufthansa has braced itself for major disruption across its network today as the result of 24 hours of industrial action by some of the airline's pilots and cabin crew. Mainline, cargo and regional operations are being impacted by the walkout, which, as we understand it, is the result of staff demanding improvements to the company's pension schemes. The action is due to end at 23:59 this evening, but of course the impact will be felt for a number of days by the airline's customers. Some mitigation has been put in place for domestic travellers on certain routes, who can transfer their travel arrangements onto Germany's rail operator, Deutsche Bahn. But that isn't exactly going to help the company's thousands of international travellers, is it now? Clearly, the short notice strike by crew is intended to inflict the maximum disruption to operations in a bid to expedite demands with senior management. If you are being affected by the walkout, please try and be patient with those on the ground who are working hard to get you on your way. North African carrier Air Algérie will be moving its London operation from Heathrow to Stansted from the start of the summer timetable at the end of March. The move will allow the Algerian carrier to increase frequency on its busy London to Algiers route up to a rumoured 9 rotations a week. The airline intends to use a mix of Boeing 737s and Airbus A350s on the route and is currently also considering the introduction of flights to Manchester and Birmingham from its Algiers base. All-cargo airline Hong Kong Air Cargo will be launching scheduled services from its Hong Kong base to Larnaca on the island of Cyprus from the 17th of February. Larnaca becomes the airline's 15th scheduled destination and will be served once weekly on a Tuesday using the carrier's Airbus A350 freighters. JetBlue and United Airlines have announced the expansion of their Blue Sky collaboration program, which now means that customers will be able to book either airline using either airline's booking platform or app. Crucially, this enhancement allows customers to redeem loyalty rewards with either airline seamlessly, or so they tell me. Staying in the US, American Airlines is turning up the heat on its current battle with United for market share at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, with the announcement that it will soon be opening a brand new Admiral's Club Lounge. The 10,000 square foot lounge will eventually replace the carrier's current proposition located on Concourse L, and will give customers more space to relax whilst waiting for their flights. To be brutally honest with you though, the image supporting the announcement does look a little bit like a KFC, doesn't it? I might be missing something of course, so do let me know what you think. It does look like a KFC. Slightly more positive news for Lufthansa group member Lufthansa City Airlines, who have announced the opening of a Frankfurt base, which now complements its existing operation from Munich. The airline will initially be basing a single Airbus A320neo at the airport and will operate to Berlin, Düsseldorf, Malaga, Manchester and Valencia. The carrier will be adding additional aircraft to the base during the summer and expects to increase the number of destinations served to include London Heathrow as a result. And finally, as reported earlier this week, AirAsia X have now confirmed the reintroduction of daily low-cost services between its Kuala Lumpur base and London Gatwick. Flights will start on the 26th of June, which, as rumoured, will operate via its soon-to-be-established hub in Bahrain in the Middle East. Flights will be flown by the airline's A330s with an average journey time of 16 hours to include the stop in Bahrain. That's all for today folks, we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, and in the meantime please remember to stay safe. I'll see you then. Elon Musk is once again rubbing his hands with glee as America's low-cost giant Southwest becomes the fourth US carrier to sign up to his Starlink high-speed Wi-Fi platform. Initially, the deal covers 300 of the 799 aircraft currently in the carrier's fleet, and the first batch of Starlink-equipped Boeings are expected to be operational by the end of this year. The Irish government has taken the first formal step towards lifting the 19-year-old passenger cap at Dublin Airport. Dara O'Brien, the Minister of Transport, confirmed earlier this week that the Cabinet has now approved the priority drafting of the Dublin Airport Passenger Cap Bill 2026. Once ratified, this would give the government the ability to amend or revoke the current imposed cap of 32 million passengers annually. Although it should be noted that 36 million passengers used the airport in 2025 thanks to the discretion by the Irish High Court. As they say, there's nothing like shutting the stable door after the horse has bolted, but either way, the revision or abolition of the cap will be good news for Dublin's airport authority, I'm sure. Canadian flag carrier Air Canada is in buoyant mood as it has announced a firm order for 8 A350-1000 with the option to take a further 8 of the type from the European aircraft manufacturer. The airline, whose long-haul fleet is dominated by Boeing 777s and 787s, sees the A350 as being 25% more efficient than older generation aircraft and will use the new additions to its fleet to facilitate its ongoing expansion. First deliveries are slated for 2030, so you've got a while to wait before you can try it out. Following the announcement by the Cuban government that they were no longer able to supply Jet A1 fuel to foreign carriers, airlines have been finding workarounds so that the largest island in the Caribbean continues to be connected despite Donald Trump, particularly to Spain and Russia. Most airlines are now making a tech stop either on the inbound or the outbound sector, and the system appears to be working. Iberia have been routing via the Dominican Republic on the return leg to Spain, and Turkish Airlines have been dropping into Cancun en route to the island. Other airlines such as Air China, Air Europa, Nordwind and Rossiya Airlines have done similar things. So as you can see, Donald, there's no stopping them. MSC Air Cargo, a division of the Mediterranean Shipping Company, has announced the introduction of scheduled services between Milan Malpensa and Shanghai's Pudong Airport commencing on the 3rd of March. The route will be flown using the carrier's Boeing 777-200 freighters, which we think is good news. Further good news for London Gatwick Airport, as Emirates has introduced a 4th daily service from the London Gateway to its Dubai hub. The flight, which is timed to leave just before midnight from London, is being flown using the airline's Airbus A350s, marking the second destination in the UK after Edinburgh to receive the type. And finally, aviation is definitely a tricky business to be in, and the people at Frontier are feeling the pinch as the carrier announced that it will be looking to return, defer and delay aircraft deliveries to try to help the ailing carrier's fortunes. They have put steps in place already to reduce their fleet by 24 aircraft in the immediate future and deferred the planned delivery of almost 70 new aircraft for the foreseeable future. It would be a real shame to see this colourful airline fold, but no one is immune from the cutthroat world of aviation. So we hope the action does the trick. That's all for this week. Thanks for being with us and for all the questions via socials and email, of course. We'll be back again on Monday with our usual roundup of new routes, and in the meantime, hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday.
We look forward to seeing you again next week. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to Air News Daily to stay up to date with all the latest news from the commercial aviation world.